connectivity. So what's next? What are the new possibilities of ISPs? Our next speaker will share some ideas. Please welcome the Director of ISP Business of Huawei's Marketing and Solutions Sales Department, Mr. Wenzhe.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Very glad to be here. Firstly, I would take this opportunity to appreciate all your attending for the ISP and Optical Summit. Today, the topic I bring here is developing connectivity for the new ISP business. So before we start, I would like to share of the outlook for the next 10 years. So there are 4 aspects. Firstly, for the technically driven. So we know the network is the most important part as a foundation. So there will be an involvement from the copper to the GPON, to the 10 GPON, and to the 50 GPON. And another part is digital transformation. We know right now there's a big enthusiasm towards the digital transformation. So a combination of the DICT technology. And from the business perspective, then we know that right now a lot of operator telecom, they bring their business into the 2B area. And we think that perhaps the ISP can also take a look at this part. And on top of that is the cloud computing. So we know if we look at the future, and we know that the cloud is inevitable, and is definitely the area we should take a look at. So generally speaking, the business and the trend will change. And in the future, so for the ISP, the transformation, transformation will be from the infrastructure oriented to the business oriented. Okay, allow me to introduce a little bit about the Huawei ISP industry. Actually, we have several sectors to look after. As you can see, for the IP and the IXP, represented is the Internet access provider and the Internet exchange provider, so which are network-oriented. And if you look at the MSP, MTDC, that is about managed service provider and the multi-tenant data center. So this is about the data center oriented, and above that is OTT. And so nowadays, a lot of ISP customers are trying to figure out a way to how to get a further revenue growth. So here, I just list this picture. This diagram actually is from the carrier, the leading carrier, who has their financial structure showing that around 40% of them are from 2B and 60% of them are 2C. So if we take a look, a forecast, that will show that by 2030, more than 30% of the revenue are coming from 2B. And if we take the Chinese mobile as an example, we can see the 5G and fiber 5G, they take that as a foundation. And the second curve can be achieved through, for example, the network as a service, managed service provider as a service, and the cloud as a service. So generally speaking, then we can do the 2 approach, that is the scale up and the scale out. So from scale up perspective, so firstly, because the ISP, we think the network is the most important part. It's about the coverage, about the true consumer. So it's about how to build the differentiation of our network. So such as, for example, how to leverage the advanced technology to make it more efficiency of the network, and to make it more coverage, the speed of the network, and the home experience. And in terms of the scale out, and we think that perhaps network service as a service and the MSP mode can be a potential for the next wave of the revenue growth. And for the digital transformation, and we think that perhaps the ISP can do some smart service for the vertical, and of course, it should include to the cloud. And for the home broadband, and we think the home broadband is absolutely the most important things for our ISP industry. And here we think the home broadband is for the next curve and expand the market share and improve our brand. Here I just list the 2 pictures, the 50 GPON and FTTR. The 50 GPON will be a mainstream that in the future. And the beauty of the design is that it will not change the new site. We are still coexisting in the CO site. And by reusing the current ODN structure, and it's complete on the same chassis. Okay? And before that, we think it's a FlexPON Plus. then it will start to ring out in the recent year. And if you look at the FTTR, as a lot of the experts have mentioned, the FTTR, right now, there's a movement from the bandwidth-oriented, coverage-oriented, to the bandwidth-oriented, then to the user experience-oriented. So there's a three-wave of the new growth for this aspect. So FTTR is definitely a scenario which can help us to improve the home experience. So include the coverage, speed, concurrency, and also for the roaming things. And I just take the Chinese telecom, for example. Right now, they have introduce FTTR, the average ARPU can increase 30 USD per user. So this is on average. So and a friend of mine, he owned a big network in Asia. He told me that he will first do a commercial trial on the 50G PON to gain the reputation, gain the brand in the local, and then bring the FTTR to the high-end users, around 5 to 10% of the total users, and to bring the FTTR solution to them. And after that, they will bring the 50G PON together with FTTR to the enterprise part. So in terms of the enterprise management work, actually, what we know is that the ISP responding well is to build the network capacity. And we have the best, for example, the IPv6 ready network, and as well as the 200 and 400 system of WDM. So that's our valuable footprint. But the question is, how can we change the existing network, change that from the current construction network to a revenue purpose network to maximize the revenue of the network? So that's the question. The good thing is that, so right now we have the cloud network platform. So which means that traditionally, if we try to do some service, then we have to go to the site. That is to make the installation, make the deployment, make the monitor, make the operation. So all those things have to be executed on the customer side. Right now, through the cloud managed platform, so which means most of the function, that is, we can do that in a centralized, in a remote way. So which can help release the efficiency a lot. So for example, right now we calculate ISP because sometimes we are lacking of the experienced staff. We don't have so many staff. So in this case, that is allow us to do the business for the enterprise. So there are 4 perspectives of the value we could add on. Firstly, is the managed line. That is to enhance the ultimate experience for the end users, for enterprise. And the managed one, so it's a kind of cloud-based solution, and it can reach the agility and the elastic scale out. And the managed security, of course, it will enhance the security for the enterprise and the managed lease line. Okay, if we look at the third part, we call the smart service. Right now, it's because the smart service is very popular, so it's a big enthusiasm toward some we call smart city, smart office, smart shopping, smart retail. Since the definition of the smart service is quite unique, because that's a completely different scenario. So how can we be flexible as a service provider to make sure that the solution is comprehensive and consistent for our end users? So actually, from Huawei side, we have the different sectors. We have the financing sector, we have the hardware sector, and they all work on the different solution based on from different needs from their end customer. So the general thinking is that how can ISP bring the 6 core products and the cloud manager approach together to address the requirement from vertical? Depending on who you are talking to, for example, from the smart education area, that perhaps that they will show more interesting in a video conference. For example, they need a digital board, they need a video conference, as well as the optical and the IP cameras. And from the smart city perspective, so they may require that, for example, they use the pole as an IoT terminal. And they will ask for the wireless, include the microwave and the wireless, to do the backhaul, to do the Wi-Fi spot. So it's different. So here, we just list the 6 core products together, the cloud managed approach, Actually, Huawei, we have different sector, and they use those solutions, work on a different industry. So we can bring those together for ISP to do the business on the vertical smart business. And then last but not least is true cloud. Here I use a true cloud rather than cloud because cloud is not the easy things to go in the beginning. So, but we have several steps we can achieve this. The first thing is how to bring the cloud private line to the end users. So how to bring the traffic from the enterprise part to the public cloud. So this is the first thing. So technical options could be, for example, the pump technology, OTN technology, SD-WAN technology, or the VPN. So for the second step, so we may think of how to build a hybrid cloud platform. That is to link the public cloud environment and the private cloud environment and IDC together to build a unified platform. And after that, because the network is ready, the platform is ready, then we may think of whether our OSS, BSS, or AMS is ready in the cloud environment. I think at that time, because the AMS is almost the cloud-native platform, its application is cloud-native. So we may, from MSP part, we may deploy our AMS on the complete cloud environment to get adapted to this system. So finally, that we can go to part of the cloud business because the ready is okay, the network is okay, the system is okay, and we got the cloud platform. So as a whole, that's we can do some cloud business. So generally speaking, actually this time I just bring the 4 topics. The first one is the home broadband. So we consider that is the most important things, and the enterprise and the smart service for the industry and the cloud. So internally we call it the BEST model. And okay, this is all my part today. In the next topics, actually from Huawei partner and Huawei customer, we will share their story about what they are thinking about their business domain. Now, hopefully, all the ISP customer will have the bright future. Thank you.